Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Rob with BlameRobVideos, and welcome to our weekly gaming podcast. Tonight's topic comes from a comment that one of our viewers left us. His name is Flux, and he asked if we have any tips for a newbie in DayZ. So we'll be going over the basics, what items you should be trying to get, how to stay alive, and that kind of thing. To help me out, I've invited three industry experts to the show. Our first guest is a guy that introduced me to DayZ. He's done a lot of research on this game, and I would assume has most of the loot table and spawn locations memorized. I would like to welcome Pint of Bass back to the show. How's it going, Pint?
I'm doing well, and that's half true.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you know
I know
most
most
of
of the
the...
loot tables. Most loot
Okay,
tables, yeah.
that's what I thought. Cool, cool. All right. Our next guest is a respected member of Team Player Gaming, has a lot of experience when it comes to team-based first-person shooter games. I would like to welcome Ira Vedic to the podcast. How's it going, Ira?
Doing well, doing well.
So, Ira, you've played a bunch of different team-based first-person shooter games like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, Left 4 Dead 2, and I think you played Battlefield, right?
I've played all the Battlefield series. I've played them all.
Nice. Understanding that each of those games are kind of different, but also kind of similar in team play elements, how does DayZ compare to those games as far as team play goes?
As far as team play, I mean, it's a game that can go either way. I mean, you can really set yourself up to truly go it alone if you choose to. We all come from a team play background, so we actually enjoy it better in a group.
Right.
Here, I mean, one of the issues we've been kind of running into lately is having groups that are actually too large.
Right.
8, 10 players together makes it more difficult. I think, 4 to 5 is kind of an optimal setup.
Sounds good.
But it's a good team play game. I mean, we say, there are certain things in this game that require another player, like getting a blood transfusion, which is
Right.
You can't do it yourself.
Right. And we'll go over, I guess, some things later on that we'll talk more about teamwork later if we get to it. But before I forget, I would like to introduce our last guest, who's also from Team Player Gaming. He plays a great spy and pyro in TF2, and pretty much plays every hot game that comes out, or so I'm told. And in DayZ has been known to fill his ammo pouches with Little Debbie cookies. I'd like to welcome Smoke back to the show. How are you doing, Smoke?
I'm doing all right.
How's the TF2 Pyromania update treating you?
It's all right. It got old already, but still, you know,
That's
I like playing TF2. That's just my thing. I go back and forth between that and DayZ pretty much.
right. No, there's
And
no
at least
problem with
until what, Torchlight 2 and then what,
And
Borderlands
Guild Wars 2?
2.
Borderlands 2. Yep.
Yeah.
My friends are checking that one out too. We've got it on the list, so we will be taking on those
I'm
games as
still
soon as those
I'm
come
still
out.
on the fence about Guild Wars though. I haven't bought it yet, but I don't know if
It's so good. You got it. I like it a lot. Well,
you probably have to convince me later.
yeah, we'll talk about it later. Because tonight we are going to get back to Flux, and we're going to talk about tips for a newbie in DayZ. And I thought we could start by talking about spawning in, or what to do when you spawn. So, just very, very simply, how about Pint? Could you tell us where you spawn on the map?
Well, you're, with a rare exception of spawning at Starry Sobar, which I believe is a bug,
Okay.
you will always spawn on the beach. The Starry Sobar spawn is extremely rare. I've only ever been on vent when it happened to players, and it's happened twice when I've been on.
And you mean the south side of the beach, right? Is it always the south side?
Or the southeast corner, yes. I believe I think the highest north spawn is a Solnichny.
Okay.
It's
And-
just above Three Valleys.
And for those of you listening that don't know which map we're talking about, I'll post the link to the map in the video description, so that way you guys can see the whole map and know what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, let me just jump in here real quick. One
Yeah.
thing a new player needs to do before they even try to load into the game is to familiarize themselves somewhat with the map, or get the map printed out, or have it on, if you have a Steam overlay, have it up in your Steam browser. But you need to use, and we'll do a plug for them, it's DayZDB, DayZDB.com. And they have kind of the preeminent map right now. And it's invaluable when learning to play the game and trying to figure out where to go and where you can go and where things are.
Completely agreed. And that's the map with all the colored dots, right? That has like
Yes.
it's all color coded and
Yes.
everything. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great map. It's really evolved, or it had a different version of that map earlier, but I think it's gotten better. With
Yeah, no, it's gotten really good, and
Yeah.
the key to spawning in is the instant that you spawn. It happens pretty quickly. That you're gonna get 2 words that pop up on the right side of your screen. One is gonna be Chernaris, which is the name of the big map. Ignore that. What you really need to focus on is the name of the town or the location that is immediately below the Chernaris, and that'll give you a location along the coast where you spawn. And so you can try and orient yourself.
You know what's funny is you're answering all. I have all these questions like lined out in a nice little outline. I spent so much time putting it together, and Ira, you're answering all my questions already, which is great. It's totally fine.
Don't mean to take your thunder.
No, no, it's great.
What good are you, Rob? Jeez.
Just to add on what Ira said, it's this when it gives you the name. Let's say it says Electrovosk. That means that Electrovosk is the closest landmark to you. But it doesn't tell you whether or not you're on the southwest corner of it, the east corner of it,
Sure.
the west corner of it. It doesn't. So you have to. That gives you a frame of reference. It gives you a couple hundred meters. Where you can say, okay, I'm either in this patch right here on this side of the town, or I'm on this side of the town. So then from there, you just need to make some logical deductions and.
Right. That's what I do. I look
Right.
around, like I look for hills, or I look for buildings, and the railroad tracks is also a very good indication.
Right.
Or the power lines, so you use
Bridges.
Bridges. Try to use those to figure out what you're doing. Smoke, is that pretty much what you do too? Every time you die, every day.
Yeah, pretty much every day.
So you're a master at spawning in.
Yeah,
You're,
it's ridiculous.
you're a pro at this.
For me, I don't hang around the coast at all. I head
Okay.
north as fast as I can because I have my spots that I go to, which are pretty much. I can loot whatever I need, and there's
Sure.
not too many people.
Okay, and actually this is a good segue into what you do next after you spawn in. So, to my knowledge, there's a couple different common strategies, one of which you've mentioned, and that is to leave Electro or Cherno or leave the coast as fast as possible. And my guess is to hit up a barn or a deer stand. Is that what you do, Smoke?
I hit up deer stands. That's my thing.
And why would you
'Cause
hit up? Why do you hit up? Why do you prefer to hit up deer stands as opposed to barns or any other land?
Because most of the time, if you hit up a barn, really the most time you're gonna find a weapon is gonna be a shotgun or Lee Enfield / dinner bell. So I'd rather go up and hit a deer stand,
Okay.
maybe get an assault rifle or some other form of weapon. Like hell, one time I spawned, I got a PDW in one stand, and the next stand I got a pack, dang Alice pack or one of the big packs, I forget which.
In the deer stand?
In the deer stand, yeah.
Wow, I didn't
Had
know
to be a
this was-
coyote.
It's by Coyote Pack, and
Yeah.
then
Right.
the next stand I hit up, I got a rifle of some kind. I forget which one it was.
Okay, that's
But
cool.
it's luck of the draw. I mean, sometimes you can get good stuff, sometimes you can't. But you're less likely to get shot doing that than going through Cherno or Electro or some of the bigger cities in the coast.
Okay. Well-
I used to agree with Smoke that it was a viable option to head inland as soon as possible. I no longer hold to that. I think as soon as you spawn in, because you have such a reduced inventory as soon as you come into game, you're pretty much boxed into doing one strategy, and that is you have nothing to lose, so you need to go into Cherno or Electro right away, and because you have nothing to lose. So if there's a guy up there shooting people, then what have you lost? I mean, you haven't lost anything because you
Time.
don't have anything. And especially since now you don't spawn with morphine. I mean, if you get a broken leg, out in the middle of nowhere, it could be till the next day that someone logs on to Steam and can get over to you.
Is that the only way to fix a broken leg? Is morphine?
Yep.
Yes.
So if you get a broken leg in the middle of the field and you don't have morphine, you're basically dead. If you have no friends.
No, you
Well,
crawl.
You can crawl.
Oh, okay. So you gotta crawl. You gotta crawl to town, like
Yep.
miles and miles. Oh, that's hilarious. Ira, what's your strategy for when you spawn in?
It really depends on where the spawn is. I mean, if I'm close enough to Electro or Cherno, I'll make a raid.
Okay.
If I'm far to the west and I'm near, Komarovo or Kamenka, I'll just book it north and try to hit Zelengorsk. If I'm, far on the west coast or the east coast by Solnichny, I'll try and go all the way north to Berenzino. So it's more situational. I don't have a hard and fast rule. It's really kind of dependent on where I'm at.
Gotcha. And then there's one last strategy I want to talk about in regards to spawning in, and this has to do with your experiment pint, where when you first started playing the game, could you describe what you did in order to learn the zombie aggro range?
Well,
And I don't know how true this is going to be now that there's a patch release today, and maybe Ira can speak more to it. But why don't you tell the viewers?
well, the method would still apply, but just the results would be different.
Right.
But when I first started playing, I think there was only 2 or 3 other people at TPG that played at that time, and then when it wasn't because I started playing, but after I started playing during that week was when we just got a lot of new people. So I had a few days where I didn't really have anyone to help me out, and I went into a town and I aggroed a zombie, and I'm like, wow, he saw me from that far while I was standing. So then I figured out that if you're crouching, you can get closer, and if you're crawling, you can get closer, and if you're crouch walking, you can get closer.
Right.
So I really made it a science experiment. I would find a zombie near my spawn, and I would start crouch walking towards him until I aggroed him, and then I would keep doing that until I had a good mental image of what the distance is for each type of movement.
Right.
You're just trying to make friends, aren't you, Pint?
I'm just
With
yeah,
anybody, zombies, humans.
trying to say hi to people, I was actually on a direct communication going friendly, and the zombie just ignored me, that putz. But yeah, so I mean, I did that for pretty much an entire play session, so that was 4 or 5 hours of just dying for science.
Right.
And I'm really glad I did it, because playing with other people during that first week, I had a good lead on them when it came to understanding the game mechanics.
Right.
Because I invested that time in actually learning it and not being afraid of dying.
And so, Ira, the new patch came out today. How would you describe the zombie aggro now?
Well, it's a modification of this 1.7.1.5, where they really went in that version. They really went to line of sight. So the zombies react in daylight to visual cues. They've ramped that up and now have in the debug monitor, which is going to be a little square screen up in the right-hand corner of your monitor.
Mm-hmm.
At the very bottom of it, there's a visibility number, and we think that that's denoted in meters, so it's going to have a number by it. So when you're laying flat on the ground, it says like 10 or 12 meters. So a zombie can't see you. Okay.
I see.
Unless you're 12 meters from him.
Okay.
When you're standing straight up in an open field, that number may shoot up to 120, 130 meters.
Wow. That's crazy.
And so you have this, before it was you had kind of 2 visual cues on your monitor that showed you how visible you were and how much sound you were making.
Yep.
Now you've got another piece of information that gives you kind of an aggro distance, as it were, for the zombies, your visibility. And it's true, they're much more aggressive and they pick you up better than they did in the last version of the game.
Really quickly, before we get into more strategies and tips, would you say this is an improvement to the game or just something different? Anybody?
It adds to the realism.
Yeah.
It's so new. I mean, literally, it's maybe an hour in game with it.
Okay.
It's so new. It's hard to tell. Several of the versions prior, there were some problems with the zombie aggro and zombie behavior. I don't think that this is clearly intentional. So I think it definitely adds to the realism. It's as opposed to being able to walk within 30 feet of something
Sure.
with his back turned. Now I think his head is on a swivel a little bit more, and you're gonna pick him up.
Right. And I agree. I think I haven't tried it out yet, but I would agree it's more realistic, and I think it'll be an improvement overall, but we'll have to see. Moving on. So we've talked about spawning in. Now let's talk about maybe the core items that you should probably be trying to shoot for or trying to obtain as soon as you spawn in and I was thinking maybe we talk about things like a compass, maybe a primary weapon. How about we have Smoke take this one, take the first shot at this one. What would you say are maybe your top 2 or 3 items that you search for as soon as you spawn in?
As soon as I spawn in, I'm looking for a weapon, first of all. Pistol, anything really. Because you spawn in with a flashlight, and the flashlight's pretty much useless for killing zombies or players.
Right.
So, first thing I do is look for a gun of some kind.
And
Any kind.
You mentioned deer stand. So if you're unarmed, how do you take out the zombie? Well, actually, I don't want to answer my own question, but how do you get the weapon in the tower, in the deer stand?
Well, the ones at deer stands, they wander. So you kind of just got to be patient and just wait for them to leave to kind of wander off, and then you can kind of sneak in there and just climb up the ladder and look. I very rarely kill any zombies at deer stands, even when I have a weapon, because it's easy enough just to sneak around them.
All right.
But really, any place, if you're in towns, you want to look for the items you want to get is a weapon. That are essential for survival. Weapon, maybe some food and water. Well, you definitely need food and water. Bandages, if you can find them. If you can find a compass, that's essential. A map is essential. Pretty much.
And where's a good place to look for a lot of those items? You mentioned a compass, food and water, bandages.
Residential areas, most of the time. For the stores in town, will have most of these items. There's some other stuff that you can get, but they're not essential to survival. I mean, once you get them, they help, but it's not like life or death that you need them.
Got it. And then how about pint? What would you consider your top 2 or 3 items that you have to get first as soon as you spawn in?
I forgot to mention. So I'll be modifying my first answer. When I've only had to spawn in twice since they added the flashlight and the weapon change.
Well, aren't you lucky?
I know, right? I know it's more difficult with not having a weapon because if you pull one zombie, you don't have that Makarov to drop them with. So I was thinking, well, what advantages do I have, and what do I not want to happen? Well, I don't want to aggro because I don't have anything to defend myself with. Excuse me, and I had the advantage of having a flashlight. So both times that I died, I immediately logged on and found a night server. So I have two benefits in doing this. One, the server tends to be low pop because people don't like playing at night, so there's less people there to shoot me. 2, you get a sneak bonus at night, so zombies are less aggro-y, which I want because I don't want aggro because I can't defend myself.
Right.
And 3, I have a flashlight. I mean, most players, as soon as they get a weapon, they ditch the flashlight. If they have it on their tool belt, they have to drop their pistol in order to bring their flashlight out. So unless they have a G17, a CCO, or the shotgun with a flashlight, or NVGs, I have an advantage on them because I have a flashlight and they don't. So I've done that successfully twice now. And both times I made it through Cherno. I was able to avoid players both times because it's dark. I would see them first. I would creep along and do my looting, and both times were successful. I got a weapon. I got a couple canteens. I got some extra food. I got a backpack upgrade, and both times I actually was able to hit fire stations and get a military grade rifle. So,
sounds like a really great strategy.
Well, I'll counter that a little bit. I mean, Pint has a lot of experience with the game. He knows the towns. I mean, we already know the towns. We know the map. We know where to go in Electra. We know where to go in Cherno. We know how to orient ourselves.
Sure.
And for somebody brand new to the game, trying to navigate at night, I think would be a truly daunting task.
And so what is your recommendation, Ira, for someone that is new to the game and is trying to figure things out and get their first core items?
I would think the first thing is to try and find a friend. Try and find, somebody to help you out. Absent that, look for kind of a low pop server during the day, so you only have to really focus on, zombies rather than other players. and depending on your spawn, hit up the looking at your DayZ DB map, hit up the closest prime opportunity to get yourself a weapon, whether it be a pistol or not, and then if you can get a pistol or some kind of weapon and you can get either a map or a compass, at that point I think it's time to leave the coast and try and get inland, because with either a map or a compass you can figure out which way you're going.
Yep, agreed.
I would add morphine to that, since you no longer spawn with it. I won't. Every time I spawn in, I will not leave the coast until I have a couple morphine on me.
And where's a good place to look for morphine, or maybe the only place to look for morphine?
Hospitals always have it.
Yep.
The morphine spawn rate was reduced. It used to be something like a 2.5% chance. I believe now it's 0.9.
Wow.
So it's showing up less likely. It's not showing up as often in your residential loot piles. So I pretty much will hit the hospital as I go through the big city and grab a couple morphine. I won't leave until I have it.
Sounds good. Now that our new player has spawned, they know how to spawn in, they know what to do when they spawn in, they've got their core items. Why don't we talk about maybe the next couple things that the next steps, or what to do afterwards, what to look for afterwards. Maybe after they've got a basic weapon, a compass, what are some good places to hit up? What are some good objectives to go after? And why don't we start with Ira this time? We'll work our way backwards.
Well, it really depends on what you got. I mean, you're always looking to upgrade your loot. So, I mean, the bigger towns, obviously Cherno and Electro on the coast, Berenzino is a prime location due to the high quality residential spawns and 2 grocery stores plus some military spawns. A good place to go. Zelengorsk on the east, on the west side. Zelengorsk, Pustoka, and Vybor are all high targets. Stary Sobor is a pretty active place due to the military spawns and the grocery stores. So, I mean, it's really, grocery stores and high residentials are going to get you the vast majority of what you need to survive. And then between the deer stands and the military spawns, you'll be able to upgrade your weapons.
Sounds good. Pint, what do you think next steps for a new player?
Pretty much what Iris said. The only addition I would make is make a plan. Find out where you are. Look at your map. Look at the database map that Ira gave you the link for, and get a plan. I mean, if you spawn on the west side of the coast, your plan might be, well, I'm going to go to Balada. I'm going to see if I can get a good weapon. Then I'm going to go up the highway, because that's a landmark. You don't need a compass to follow a highway. You just need eyeballs. And I'm going to go up to Zelenogorsk, and I can follow the highway again to Pustoshka, and then I can go up to Vybor. Just have a plan, and unless something really cool comes your way, just stick with it. And Ira is 100% correct that we take for granted how many hours we've already put into the game.
Yep.
But if you look on the database map, on the DB map, you can see where these loot points are in the city. So you can kind of plan your route out beforehand. And I still do this, depending, because like say I'm entering from the northeast corner of Cherno. I mean, I never go that way by choice. I always come from the dry dock side. So the first time that I went through a flashlight, I had to make a whole new route for myself. Okay, so I'm hitting these apartment buildings, then I'm going to the hospital, and then I'm going here. And I had it planned out in my head. So I'm crossing the street at this point. I'm following this line of buildings up into the grocery store. I mean, it's just 3/4 of this game, in my opinion, is having a solid plan at all times.
Right.
And if you can keep that plan in your mind, and the contingencies for this plan, then you're going to be successful at the game.
Smoke, you have anything to add?
Well, after you spawn and you go up, if you're by yourself, I tend to stick. If I'm by myself, I tend to stick in an area and kind of just farm out that area. A low population area, low traffic area, something with farms and deer stands nearby.
And you're referring to the cycling loot tactic, is that right?
Cycling loot tactics, or just basically staying in an area and just kind of going around that area. I'm not talking about anything with military spawns or anything that's going to have a lot of population. Now, if you're with other people or you know other people in the game, I'd try to meet up with those people. The other thing I would do is when you're traveling, if you see an open field, look for down choppers. That's a very good source of loot. There are a lot of zombies there, but if you can get to it, you're more likely to get a military grade weapon.
And just
So
for the
that's
viewers,
another option.
just for the viewers, Smoke, can you clarify what we mean by loot cycling, and maybe also clarify what you mean by high traffic areas?
Okay, so basically loot cycling is, so if you have a store or a building that has loot that spawns, what you do is a lot of times when you go in there, there's like cans and, a bunch of junk in there, basically, or stuff that you don't need, rounds of ammo that you don't need, or, watches and stuff that, some of the extra stuff that you already have. What you do is you take that, put it in your pack, and then go and dump it outside, basically clearing it out of the building, and that will in turn make it spawn quicker, respawn quicker, so you'll get an extra, more loot.
And so while you do that, you go loot somewhere else.
You go
and then come back.
to another house and do it, and then or go hit deer stands around the area, and then when you come back, by the time you come back, then you should have spawns there.
Right.
And
then by high traffic areas, you mean
high traffic areas? I mean
people that are going to be there.
Yeah, basically, because if you're by yourself, the last thing you want to do is run into a group of people.
Right.
That's the last thing you want to do.
And
so you want to stay away from basically the high traffic areas, which is any of the airports really.
Yeah.
Because they have military grade. You want to stay away from Star Sorbor, and you also want to kind of stay away from the shores because that's where other people are going to spawn. And if you get somebody that just spawned in and you have some, okay weapons, and all they have is a pistol, they're going to shoot you because you have better weapons than them. So you kind of want to stay away from that too.
Right.
I mean,
right.
But if you're with a group, you can kind of go and adventure to other places, and you have backup. You have somebody watching your back. You watch their back. But if you're by yourself, you just kind of want to stay. I kind of for me, I just stick to. I don't get too brave. I kind of just slowly build up what I got.
Right. Sounds good. And we'll talk about how to deal with enemy players in a little bit. But before we get to that, I'd like to quickly touch on tactics and strategies for killing zombies, because they are one of the other major threats in the game, especially with this new update. Why don't we go back to Ira? Ira, what's your strategy for fighting zombies? What's, I don't know, a good tactic for, I want to say fighting zombies, but also, I don't know, avoiding zombies as well, or just dealing with zombies. What's your strategy for dealing with zombies, both avoiding as well as fighting?
Well, I mean, for me, number one, if I can avoid shooting and preserve ammo, that's what I'm going to do. So, trying to make your approach on whatever your target is quietly, calmly, slowly, and taking a route that is, least likely to aggravate the zombies is my prime objective. Depending on where you're at, if you're in a city and you aggro a zombie, I mean, it depends on how many you aggro. You have two choices in my book. One, you can turn around and run out of the city and get in the woods and fight those single zombies so you don't pull other zombies, or run to an enterable building. The minute a zombie comes into a building, they slow down dramatically, so it's easier to take on multiple zombies in a building. Headshots are king. If not that, I mean, it sometimes can take 2 or 3 shots to take a zombie out. So again, it's about ammo preservation, but your primary objective should be to avoid aggravating zombies.
Sounds good. Pint, what's your strategy for dealing with zombies, both avoiding them as well as fighting them?
Well, the fighting them, if I pull aggro, and let's say I'm pulling aggro as I'm exiting a town, I'll run up to I'll run in away from the town so I don't aggro anymore by shooting. But what I do is I run backwards, and every now and then the zombie will pause and it'll do its attack animation. So as soon as it does that, I take a few more steps, I stop, excuse me, I burped a little bit there, and I shoot it. If you can get the timing down right, you have a target that's standing still to shoot, and you won't get hit. It works really well for me.
Sounds good. Smoke. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pint.
I was going to say, I was on vent with a friend, and he was saying, oh god, I have all these zombies chasing me, and I'm running through, I can't remember what city he was in, but I said, well, run into an enterable building and run out the back door. He's like, okay, oh, okay, I see an underworld building. Well, he ran into one that didn't have a back door.
Oh,
So
great.
that
He
was-
must have ran into either a hospital or residential, right? I don't
Um,
know.
he ran into an apartment building, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think those
So there's
have.
only one way to get out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
Funny.
Smoke. What would you say about fighting zombies?
I don't fight zombies if I can. I mean, I avoid them like like
the
zombies.
plague, like the plague.
But it depends on what weapon I have. If I have a rifle that's loud, I'm gonna try to not shoot them at all. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna try to run out or lose them. But if I have a silenced weapon or a low, basically a quieter weapon, I'll try to just pull them into a building and headshot them.
Sounds good.
It depends. If I have my silenced MP5, well then I'll just shoot them before they even aggro.
No, that sounds good.
It's easier, especially if they're in your way.
And the next thing I'd like to talk about are enemy players, as they are probably the biggest threat to you in this game. Wouldn't you guys say they are the biggest threat in this game?
Yes.
Easily? All right. So, and I think this is what our fellow YouTube friend is talking about, or what they'd like to know most, is because they'd like to know tips about how to deal with enemy players, both avoiding, both fighting, both, I don't know, just things they can do to survive and not die to enemy players. So any advice you have for our viewer would be great. And why don't we go the other way this time? We'll start with Smoke.
For me, don't trust anybody that you don't talk to outside of the game.
Is it pretty much shoot on sight?
For me, it is. Every time I've tried to be nice to somebody, I get shot.
All
So I'm pretty much done with, it's either I'll avoid them. I won't, if I see somebody, I'm either going to shoot, or if they run by and don't see me, I'm just going to stay still and hope they don't come back.
All right.
Because for me, I've been shot way too many times by, people I'm trying to help out.
Okay. Pint.
The tactic that I use is when I'm going to a town, I will look for a spot that's more than 300 meters away from the town that has an elevated position, so I can, even if I don't have binoculars, I mean, just zoom in and see if there's any zombie spawns in the town already.
And so for the new viewers that are new to DayZ, what does that tell you? Because that's part of that's part of how this game works, right?
The mechanic is that zombies only spawn on buildings, and they will only spawn if there's a player within 300 meters. That's our best guess, by the way. That's not a hard and fast number.
Sure.
If there's a zombie if there's a player within 300 meters of that building. So if there's zombies in a town, and if you're 400 meters away, then there is a player that is not you that is in that town. So if you want to say go into Berezino, if you're on the land side of the city, you have a nice slope that goes up. You can look down into the city and see if there's any zombie spawns. If there's zombie spawns, you have to make a decision. You can either go into the town and try to avoid the player, or see him first and get the drop on him.
Sure.
Or you can alter your plan and go somewhere else. But excuse me, I had a cough there.
No worries, Pint.
I do that every place I go, every single time without exception. I will get to a vantage point where I can see if there's somebody already there first, because I don't want to get shot, and I don't mind shooting people, but I want to know what I'm getting into before I get there.
Sounds good. Like I say, always have a plan.
Yep.
Ira, what's your take on enemy players or strategy?
It's a tough one. I mean, it's very situational. I agree with Pint. I mean, I want to know what I'm walking into. Some people we play with set up to, they have hunting missions. They go looking for other players. Most of the time, I'd say that we're more interested in just kind of doing our own thing and staying away from people and avoiding people. If I see somebody, typically at this point, given the way the game has evolved, it's shoot on sight. If you're not in my team speak and I see you first, I'm going to take a shot. That's just the way it is.
Where are the locations that you will most likely come across an enemy player? Anybody?
Airfields. Any place where there's a lot of weapons. A lot of good weapons. Airfields.
Starry Sobor. Military
Starry
tents.
Sorbor, and then any of the starter cities, you're going to run into players. Either new players just spawning in, or players with that are been around for a while and are hunting new players, basically.
Gotcha.
If if you're on a server with 5 or more people, if your chances of going into Starry Sobar without there being another player there already is the same chance as Eva Longoria answering my love letter.
And that's pretty. How is that going, by the way, Pint?
I don't know. I wouldn't write that skank.
All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? Okay. What are some of the what are some of the basic things I can do to not die to an enemy player? I think this question comes from. I think the context for this question is, let's say you're already spotted. Let's say you're already taking fire. What do you do in that situation?
Kill him.
Try to fire back?
Yes.
You try to fire back, yeah.
All right. What if you don't know where this player is? What if you're getting shot at? They're either too far, or you have no idea where. Like, you can hear the sound, you know which direction it's coming from.
If you're in a position where you're taking fire and you don't know where they are, then you're better just either sit tight. Yeah, you're pretty much boned if you. I mean, seriously, if you're in a spot where somebody's got an elevated position on you and you can hear the bullets rattling around. There's really not much you can do as far as you can just sit tight and hopefully think maybe they get disinterested, or just try to scan for them. I mean,
and it
depends on where you are.
Go ahead, Ira.
Well, again, I mean, look, it depends on it absolutely depends on where you are. I mean, if you're in the tall grass, the first thing you got to do is get flat. I mean, you got to get down on your belly, and you're reducing your silhouette. Then you need to look for cover, whether it be trees, whatever. Find any cover you can. And then I think that the best thing to do is, if you can find some good cover, is actually just sit tight, because the enemy player may get anxious and come looking for you, and then you've kind of turned the tables on them.
Sounds good. The other thing I want to talk about is to avoid situations like that where you don't put yourself in a situation where you're completely boned, like in an open field. So basic things like running along tree lines or running in the forest in order to make yourself, at least give yourself a better chance of being hidden. Are there any other little things that new players could do in order to reduce their chances of getting shot or increase their chances of surviving, basically, while they're traveling?
Don't skyline. Anytime you're traveling, let's say you have an option of running on a hill line, on a ridge line.
Yeah.
You can be seen from both ends of the hill and the entirety of the map, more or less.
Gotcha.
If you are in an elevated position without cover. So often what I'll do is I will find a route. If I don't have a route where I have tree cover, I'll find a route where I'm at a low elevation, so that the high elevations around me are limiting the angles of possible fire I can take. But for example, if you're running down in between two hills, yeah, you have to worry about the top of the hills, but that's 100 meters on either side of you, let's say.
Right.
Whereas if you're in an open field, you have to worry about 300 meters that way and 300 meters to your right, 300 meters in front of you, 300 meters behind you. Yeah, go ahead, Smoke.
I was saying, but if you're in a city, basically we want to try to avoid windows and roofs. You don't need to go up on a roof. There's nothing on a roof worth a crap most of the time, and you want to kind of limit yourself from standing in front of windows.
All right, great. Sounds good.
There are a lot of things on roofs. Usually it's the corpses of the idiots who went up there.
Yeah, there's really nothing up there, though, that you should be going up there in the first place.
Right. Like another prime example is the tower that's in the fire station building. That thing's it's a death trap. There's 3 military spawns in that tower, and on every single level, you can be shot from a 360-degree angle. It's not a good idea to be up there at all.
But if you don't have anything to lose, it's worth the risk. But if you've already got a good weapon or you've got some good stuff, there's no point in going up there. If you're by yourself. If you have cover, I mean, you could probably do it, because you can actually have somebody watching your back. But Yeah.
Ira, any last tips for a new player trying to avoid enemy players or increase his chances of survival?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it keeps evolving, and it really just depends on, we typically try and find medium pop servers as opposed to, the ones that are jam packed.
Gotcha.
And I think that's a viable option.
Actually, this is a really good segue into the last topic I want to get to, which is picking your server to join. Because as we know, there are different servers, there are servers that have set up their game differently, and so things like day and night, things like hardcore mode or veteran mode versus normal mode. Iro, can you go over sort of what we look for whenever we pick our servers and the advantages and disadvantages of those settings?
Well, in all honesty, given we're really looking for server stability. I mean, there are a lot of servers out there that are just not real stable, and it's called desync. You get a chain icon on your monitor, and that means you're not in sync with the game and other players around you. So we really try and find servers that have good, are run well and that have good connections, so that we don't have stability issues. Aside from that, you're looking for, you have a choice of, veteran or hard, the hardcore versions, which are, no third person, no tags, no auxiliary, aiming points.
No tags, meaning when you scroll your mouse wheel, you don't see the player names, right?
Correct.
All right, because that's a big thing, right? Because you can scroll from really far away and use that as a method of identifying.
Picking off where
It'll give you
somebody
name
is.
and distance.
Yep.
How far away they are.
Yep. Day versus night servers is also something we look for, I think.
Like I said, with a new player, with a brand new player, which I think is what our target audience is here. I mean, you're really going to be looking for daytime servers. I mean, it's navigating until you get familiar with the navigation. Navigating at night is a special skill.
Pint, is ping still an issue when searching for a server?
Well, you're referring to a lot of the servers. They would report that they had like a 2,500 ping
or something like that. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't true. But if you're constantly desyncing, let me start over. There's servers where I'm not pinging all that well. Let's say I'm pinging at 170, but I'm not desyncing. So that's lag I can handle. But what happens when you desync is your model stops where the last place that the server had you linked up at. So even though you're running through a field, you according to the server, you're standing in the grocery store. So you could potentially be shot in the grocery store and have it affect you while you're 100 meters away, desynced.
Right.
So desyncing is an issue. But I look for desyncing issues more than I look at ping now. If I log onto a server and I'm desyncing every 15 minutes, then the server's no good. It doesn't have the bandwidth.
There are actually some servers we really like that are, I mean, we're in Texas in the kind of the western time zones, and there are a couple servers we really like that are in Norway.
Oh wow, really? Interesting.
They don't desync. I mean, the ping's not good, but you're not desyncing, so.
Sounds good. Smoke, any suggestions for servers?
Pretty
much the same stuff?
Pretty much the same stuff.
All right, sounds
I
good.
pretty much just follow wherever everybody else is.
Okay.
Oh, there's the map also. If a player has a map on, if it's a regular server, regular in difficulty, if a player pulls up their map, then other players will show up on the map as icons.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too.
If
Yeah,
they're
you gotta check for
within,
that.
I think it's like 150 or 200 meters, you'll show up.
Right.
So that's no good. No good at all.
Especially if you're new, because then you're just gonna get hunted down even easier.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that'll do it for the DayZ tactics portion of this podcast. We were going to go over status ailments like food and water, bleeding, broken bones, sickness, and infection. But I have a couple videos and guides that tell you how to deal with things like broken bones or if you're bleeding or need a bandage. I don't think I have one for food and water, but that's pretty straightforward. And then if you're sick or infected, I think you need antibiotics, right, guys?
For infection.
Yes, that's it. Your only choice.
Antibiotics. All right. We already talked about how to pick a server to join. We could touch on teamwork a little bit if viewers have friends that they can play with. What would you say are some basic teamwork things?
If you have 3 or more players, then one of those players needs to be in a position where they can be seeing the approach to the other 2 players.
Right.
Prime example, Ira and another player and I were in Berezino. This was a few weeks ago. And Ira needed to re-gear and the other player needed to re-gear. I didn't. So I was skulking around the edges of the town, and sometimes I'd go into a building on the edge of the town where I had an elevated position where I could look over into the town. But while they're looting, I'm pretty much shadowing them as they're going from building to building.
Yep.
And if you'll remember, Ira, I was in that industrial building when I saw those 2 guys that were, 250 meters away from you guys? So I saw them first, and my buddies are there in the town. That loot is ours, it is not theirs, so they got sniped.
Nice.
By me. And
we ended up with an M16 and M4 CCO out of it.
From those 2 guys?
Yep. The second guy went to go loot the first guy, and he thought he was being clever, so he goes prone in this barn. And from the angle I had, all I could see was the wishbone of his legs being spread. So I pretty much shot him in the asshole. I think it counted as a headshot because it was a 1-shot kill. Like, of course, it would be in real life,
You really
too.
get shot there.
Yeah, you don't want to get shot lengthwise.
No, definitely not. So, do you have any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pint.
Well, I was just gonna. So really, what you want is you want the eyes at your disposal to increase the amount of the area that you can view.
Yeah.
So, because if in this game, if you see them first, then you have the only advantage worth having.
Yep. Smoke. Any last comments as far as teamwork goes?
Teamwork. No, not really. I mean, communication. Make sure if you. For us, I mean, you can use the in-game, but other players can hear the in-game also. So you may want to use an external, TeamSpeak, Mumble, Vent, kind of thing.
Yep.
Other than that, a
lot of the servers will advertise their own TeamSpeak.
Correct.
If you're a new player, just TeamSpeak's free. Go get it. Jump in. Find a server that you ping well at and you feel comfortable in, and go join their TeamSpeak and start meeting people and hooking up.
And there are people that will help you. I mean, there's clans on these servers that most likely will help you. I mean, just like anything, there's any game, there's people that help you and people that are jerks. So you just got to find the ones that help you.
Yep.
My experience on most of these clans TeamSpeaks is that their friend and foe list is people that are on the server TeamSpeak. So that puts people like Ira and me and you guys at a disadvantage because we're on our own TeamSpeak.
Yeah.
And not being on, for example, 7th Cav's TeamSpeak, if we're not on the TeamSpeak, if we don't answer up when, hey, guy in a ghillie suit in Vybor, then you're hostile. But that's a great resource for a new player. It gives you people to link up with, and it cuts down on your possible threat from other players as well.
Yep. Sounds good. So now this is the end of our DayZ Tactics portion of the podcast. If you have any questions, if you're listening and you have any questions that we didn't answer, or if you have any questions in general, feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. Just a couple quick news announcements as well as other updates, schedule announcements. First of all, we want to give a shout out to Blonde's old roommate Adam, or Crazy Bird on PSN. He actually came across our old DayZ videos and messaged Blonde about it, and had no idea that Blonde was in the videos at first. So just, I guess, a coincidence. Or it's always nice when someone that's been in the videos has someone else that they know watch the videos without them telling them, you know what I mean? So just want to give a shout out to them. Evo 2012 finished yesterday. That's a fighting game tournament, a major fighting game tournament. It's one of the biggest fighting game tournaments in the world. I believe it's the biggest one for North America. The only other comparable tournament is Super Battle Opera in Japan. The only reason I mention it is because I used to, in a previous life, I was a big fighting game enthusiast and competitor. So I thought I'd mention that as well. The last announcement is there will be no other videos for the rest of this week because I will be in San Diego Comic-Con trying to enjoy myself. But I will be back next week. So
you should do a vlog while you're there, Rob.
Maybe. I don't know if I want to do if I want to go there for. I don't know if I want to work or if I want to.
You should interview some booth babes, dude.
There's some.
You should order room service, get naked on your bed, put all the food on top of you, then record your vlog. That would get some views.
Oh my god! Or maybe I'd lose a bunch of subscribers.
Worst video ever.
Yeah, pretty much. That covers everything for today, I think. Do you guys have any?
Rob,
what's up?
yeah. There's Minecraft. There's a team that's making a MineZ mod. It's currently in beta.
Like DayZ, but MineZ.
It's like it's DayZ in Minecraft. If you want to see the gameplay, look up Marty's Games on YouTube.
All right.
He's been doing a good job on showing off the mod. He has pre-release access to a server, so he's one of the only. There's probably only maybe 10 other YouTubers out there that are putting up content for it.
All right, sounds good. Ira or Smoke, any last words or comments?
Nope.
I'll take that as a no. All right. This covers everything for today. Thank you again to Flux for giving us something to talk about. If you have any questions, like I said before, just leave a comment or send me a message. I'd like to thank all of our guests for being on the show tonight, Pint, Ira, and Smoke. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.